Welcome to Cafe Racer Garage, I am Dan. Let's get stuck in on building the subframe on the Yamaha XV750 Cafe Racer. The best way I've found to design something like this, especially the subframe that I'm going to be building, is getting yourself a bit of cardboard or MDF, draw a center line straight down the middle, and then get yourself some of that baking paper. You know, that stuff in the kitchen that your mum or your girlfriend or your wife cooks your cookies on? Yeah, that stuff. Get some of that, trace the side you've already penciled in, and then just flip it over and you've got a mirror image exactly what you need. I find this the fastest and easiest way to do it manually. You can obviously do it with a CAD program on a computer, but I just like to design things on the fly. The material I'll be using is similar to this stuff here, but probably in stainless. But before I move to the expensive stuff, I just want to do some test runs on this mild steel. Once you have your design cut out of a bit of cardboard or timber, place it on the bike, work out the length that you want it to sit at, and then sit back and look at it from all different angles to just make sure that it's going to be the right height off the tire and all those different variables. And then we can move to the next step. A really simple and easy way to make a template for your subframe is to use some copper pipe. Now, unfortunately, if you don't use the spring that stops it from crushing on the inside when you do a bend, it's going to do this. I just wanted to show you this as an example because it will bend really easy by hand without having to add any heat. You just have to make sure you use the spring, and the springs are fairly cheap. I think they're only like $12 or something from a hardware store. You can also get the copper pipe from a hardware store in lengths or in coils. I did a really good video showing you how to make an exhaust template using PVC pipe. I filled it with sand, heated it up, and you can manipulate it to get any shape you want. And I had a few comments come through which just made me shake my head and say, oh, but that'll melt when you start the bike. But I was never going to use a plastic exhaust. It was just to get the shape of the exhaust with plastic because it's easier to bend plastic than it is with steel. And then you make it out of steel. I don't even know what planet people are on sometimes with the comments that I get. I don't know if it's because some of the countries that are non-English speaking watch my videos and they might just misunderstand what I'm trying to explain. But making an exhaust out of plastic, no, I was never doing that. It's a template only. And the reason I'm telling you this is no matter what you build your subframe out of, just make sure it has some serious structural integrity. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to move to stainless, even though stainless has its own challenges with bending and having spring back, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Don't forget to check out my brand new website where you'll find everything that I recommend and use myself, as well as some discount codes from companies like Quadlock, the suspension store, and get some of those amazing YSS shocks that we all love. And I'll be adding to this website all the time, so keep checking back and seeing what's new. The steel that I'm using is 12mm mild steel round bar, and I'm using a little map gas kit that I got from Heron Forbes, and it works actually really well. For the lower section of this subframe, I decided to go a slightly smaller diameter round bar. This is a little hydraulic ram kit designed for panel beating, but it actually works really well in this application as well to try and get that curve that you want in the steel. The bottom section is about 8mm. I'm just not really happy with the way it's looking at the moment. I'm using a hydraulic press here on the top and bottom section to kick up the back of the frame just as it goes over the back tire. So I went to town to try and shape the bottom section and just completely destroyed it. It didn't come out anything like I wanted, so that piece can go in the scrap bin. Building this out of steel probably would have been a lot better, but I didn't have any. All I had was 3mm aluminium, and that's what I've used, and it's actually worked out quite well because it's left a groove all the way around the outside, which as you're pulling the round bar around it, it actually pulls itself into that little groove and it stays there, which is kind of nice. I don't think it's necessary. And the other ability that I have is if I'm using different size round bar, I can actually adjust the height of that groove with just a couple of washers. I decided to go back to the drawing board for the bottom section and make it out of the same diameter as the top section. As I mentioned, this is only a template at this stage, but hopefully in part 2 we'll be making the stainless version, slightly different to this one. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that now so you don't miss these kind of videos. And don't forget to check out this one, and I'll leave part 2 to this video right here when it's ready.